Hey everybody, welcome to She's Smart. I'm your host, Maria Robotham. Today we have such a heartwarming, inspiring, and truly feel-good episode for you. If you've ever considered rescuing a dog, fostering, or just love an amazing story about people making a real difference, you're in for a treat. Today I'm joined by Jessie Shaw and Jenn Sommerfield, the co-founders of Fetch Rescue, an incredible nonprofit located in Westport, Connecticut, dedicated to saving dogs. These two women and their amazing network are working tirelessly to give these dogs a second chance at life, matching them with loving homes right here in our community. We're talking about everything from the magic of fostering and the real process of rescue, to debunking myths about shelter dogs, and even tackling the challenges of shutting down unethical breeders and pet stores. And of course, we'll be getting into the transformations that happen when these dogs find their forever homes. So whether you're an animal lover, a rescue advocate, or just someone looking for an uplifting story, this episode promises to inspire and educate. So get cozy as we connect, learn, and laugh together on She's Smart. Thank you so much for being here. I was so happy you reached out. You were one of 3 people who have ever reached out to be on the podcast. I was so excited because I'm like, this is so fun. People actually want to come on and hang out.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I walked into Pet Choice in Westport. There was a fetch sign and they were doing donations. We had just connected and I'm like, this is when the universe, this is the universe that does the things. It literally has been doing this a lot lately with all the people coming on here. So
I love it. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you joined us. I would love to know how the two of you got connected and then started the Fetch Rescue.
I moved to Westport from Brooklyn just before COVID in 2020, literally the week before COVID. And when we moved in, I was looking for something to do. I have just been passionate about animals and rescue forever, and started to look up shelters or ways that I could help in that world, and stumbled across an organization called Little Black Dog Rescue.
Yes.
I reached out to them and put in a volunteer application, and she wrote me back. We connected right away because she actually grew up in the house beside mine.
The one that you're currently in.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
get
she's
out.
like, that's so funny. I used to, the people who lived in your house I grew up with. So there was a connection, which was great. And then that's how I started to work with Jenn. Jenn was
I
working
had
there
started
too.
with them fostering because I had thought, I want to get a second dog. I went to an event that Amy, who ran Little Black Dog, was having at Earth Animal in Westport, their old location. And I started fostering. And eventually I foster failed and did keep one of my Molly now.
What does that mean for a foster to fail?
Foster failing is when you wind up adopting the dog. You wind up keeping it.
Like you failed at foster.
Foster success. Yeah. We're gonna rebrand.
Yeah, I think it's a good
better.
rebrand if you change your
Yeah,
name.
fail flows better, but but it happens quite often.
Okay.
Then I stayed involved. I started doing more administrative stuff, adoption contracts, finances, and things like that. 2 years ago.
Amy decided to slow down intake, which means she stopped bringing dogs from the south to the north. She's based in South Carolina, and she was going to focus on some other stuff. That's really where our passion lies, is being able to bring the dogs up and to find their forever homes. So Jenn and I chatted and decided it was time to start our own. And with Amy's blessing, we launched Fetch.
Do you find dogs here too, or is it mostly dogs from the south that you bring up, and how do you actually bring them up here?
Yeah, so we do both. Our focus is primarily on bringing dogs from the south. When I say the south, I mean Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, sometimes Texas. Those dogs are either strays, abandoned, abused, neglected, or we also pull from high kill shelters in the area, which are overflowing constantly with dogs. The euthanasia rates are through the roof. We try to help as much as we can by pulling dogs from there. When we say bring them up, they come on transport. When you pull the dogs from a shelter, they have to go into a foster home down south. They have to be properly vetted and receive proper medical care. They have to have certain vaccinations before they can come into Connecticut, before we're legally allowed to bring them into Connecticut.
Okay.
So they go through that process. We also at the same time vet them to make sure they're dog friendly, cat friendly, kid friendly, because most of the people that we're adopting to here have kids and other dogs, and we need to make sure that that all works. So they come up on transport, and transport is basically a panel van that is driven by these incredible women who come between Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way up the East Coast into Vermont. They come up every 2 weeks and they have 60 dogs in the van, maybe at a time. And they're all properly taken care of. They're in crates. They are, harnessed in. Everything is super safe.
They make multiple stops and they get out and walk and feed. It's a huge
And how do you choose the dogs that are brought up?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
We have wonderful partners that we work with. Okay. We work with an incredible man named Jerry from Roadside Rescue. Jerry's famous. He is really great at kind of knowing which dogs will work for us, and we'll reach out when he gets dogs in and say, I have this dog, what do you think? I would say we are inundated with requests to take dogs from different shelters and from partners and networks down south as well that are reaching out, asking us constantly to take in dogs.
So how many dogs do you usually have?
Right now, we're pretty full again. We try to slow down around holidays or school vacation periods because people travel and stuff. But it varies. I mean, we probably have like 20 right now in the pipeline of it varies, either in foster, about to be adopted, on trial, or down south that we know.
So when you get the dogs, if I was to go in and be like, okay, I want to bring another dog into my house, do I foster him or do I adopt him, or is there a combination of both? How does that work?
Yeah, so we do a couple of things. We are foster based. So we are dependent on our fosters, and that's something we're always looking to expand. When we bring the dogs up from the south, we don't have a facility, so they go straight into foster home. If you're interested in a dog, you would fill out an application on our website. One of us would do the vetting process for that application, where we call references. We do a virtual home visit is what we call it. We started doing virtually during COVID.
Yeah.
So we do it over FaceTime and chat through, what your schedule is, who's in the house, other dogs, how we introduce them, what your current dogs are, vetting, and all of that kind of stuff. And then if we think that you would make a good match, we would set up a meet for you with the dog.
Just the humans.
Humans first.
And you'd go to the foster home and meet the dog. And if it's a good match, then we do a foster to adopt. So it's done with the intent that the adoption is going to move forward. So you would bring them home and you have like 5 days to see what it's like in the real world. Sometimes people get really excited when they meet a puppy and they're like, I need
really
you.
Easy to get excited.
And then you take them home and you're like, oh my God, this is actually a lot of work. Yeah. So you would take them home and do the trial. And if it moves forward, then you would adopt.
Oh, that's very fun. Don't worry, Benjamin, husband. Don't worry. The wheels are turning, but don't worry.
It's so funny because that comes up all the time. Yeah, it's probably your most common thing is have to check with the husband. I have to ask my husband
When natural disasters happen, I've been following California. I'm from there. My family's up north, but I had friends who lost their houses and things like that. I watched The Doggist go to get all the dogs from they were talking about this network that started after Katrina and how they move them around. Have you been a part of that or seen how that works in a natural disaster with like shuffling animals around?
Yeah, a lot of that. So there's some big organizations that deal with stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Bissell Foundation is a big one, Kathy Bissell.
Okay. But the vacuum?
Yeah.
She runs a massive pet foundation, a dog rescue foundation, maybe cats too, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
They raise a significant amount of money and they partner with another organization whose name I can't remember, but they do all of the flights. So they get planes from them and put those to make sure that those planes go into specific locations so they can move large quantities of dogs. In most cases, there's like 250 to 300 dogs on those flights. They would land somewhere in the Northeast and split them amongst different shelters. Right. Most of them go into rescues that have facilities or partner with shelters.
How many dogs do you think? I worked at a veterinary hospital when I was in college. It was awesome. I never wanted to be a veterinarian. I saw one rat be put down, and I was like, that's never going to happen. And you're a rat. So no, not for me. I love being around them. I could tell you every dog breed. I'm that crazy person who's like, you're Bichon. Just bizarre.
So good.
But when I was in college, I'm going to date myself back in early 99, 2000s, there were like 4 million dogs in the shelters. Is that about right now? Could there be that many?
It's probably more now.
Get out.
Yeah. There's so many issues. COVID was a big one. During COVID, you couldn't get a dog. You couldn't adopt a dog. There was a shortage because everybody was at home. and everybody wanted dogs. When COVID sort of became more of a normal
manageable thing, and people had to go back to work and stuff, we started to see, personally, thankfully, we didn't see too many returns at Little Black Dog at that time, but I think people did return
and dropped off at shelters.
Dropped off or shelters or and said, this doesn't really work now with my life. So
so that increased capacity at shelters, and it's a nightmare down south.
Do you ever take in the dogs from the puppy mills?
We have. Yeah. We have taken a few. Tricky situations. Some rescues refuse to work with puppy mills. We're open to it.
I'm sure it depends on the situation.
It does. For sure. It's also hard to work with puppy mills. In this area, it's so secretive. Like Amish country, for example, where a lot of them are located, Pennsylvania, you can't find contacts
to just rescue them.
You can't.
And take them out.
Yeah, it's done kind of like undercover, secretively. Somebody will reach out to somebody and say, I have 4 dogs, meet me at this place.
Yeah.
You don't know who the dogs are, what type they are. You don't know anything about their background or their medical. There was a rescue recently that I heard. Who was that? Remember with the Cavaliers, or I can't remember.
I forget, but it's I don't know how big. I'm sure there are big operations in the Amish country, but what I think I've seen or we've heard about more is, small family breeders doing it.
Do you ever have you ever or seen them be like raided or like shut down, and then those dogs are sent to rescues?
There's a big one that's happening right now in Mississippi, a golden doodle breeder who, I mean, the pictures are horrific.
Oh,
if
God.
You see,
no, I've
and
seen
this is
things.
like such a big part of what we wanted to do when we launched Fetch, is to educate people about breeders and to make sure people are doing their homework. We're never going to be able to change everybody's mind about buying from a breeder, but there are so many people, especially in the area, who will buy dogs from breeders and they won't even see where the dog has come from. They won't go to the house to meet the breeder or see the conditions that the puppies have been raised in. And that's a massive red flag. You have to do your homework if you're going to work with a breeder. You have to see how they've been raised, what they've been exposed to, how they've been socialized. Obviously, the medical is such a huge part of that. And to make sure that the parents are being taken care of. Because in a lot of cases, they're kept in cages and they are not roaming around. They're not family pets. They're just used to make money. And it's awful. And they're really kept in deplorable conditions.
Oh, my in-laws rescued their dog. They rescued this darling, her name's Allie. They didn't know what she was. She was just a long-haired black dog, right? Big black dog.
Yeah.
She had had at least 5 litters, but she was probably not even 4 years old. She wouldn't go near anyone except for Grammy. Grammy's her person. And then my mother-in-law's just been working with someone to get her out of her shell. And then Ollie, our dog, who's like this bouncy Australian Shepherd, they connected immediately, the two of them.
That's
and
awesome.
So she kind of came out of her shell with him and me, mostly because I'm the one in the kitchen with Grammy all the time. Like the women are together. And it took her a really long time. Now they've trained her to be a support dog because my father-in-law has Parkinson's. So she goes on the plane with them now, and she is like the perfect dog for that situation. And they literally saved her.
Yep.
That's amazing that they've been able to make her do such a turnaround.
Yeah, and she's still very shy. She still hides under the table. But she goes on the plane from Florida to Rhode Island.
Good for her.
She's
safe
so sweet, and she sees Ollie and starts bouncing.
That's so
when
cute.
she didn't know how to play.
Nope.
Like that's the one thing about these dogs.
Dog.
They literally don't know how to be a dog. Yeah. So let's say you get a call and you're like, I've got this great dog. We want you to start moving through the foster system.
Yeah.
It goes to the one person in the South and they start to foster it before it comes to you guys. What kind of background do you get on that dog?
It depends. Sometimes we get very little. We don't know much at all. It may have just been a stray that someone came across. We don't think about it up here. We don't see dogs just randomly on the side of the road.
And if we did, it would be posted on 17 Facebook pages, and someone would take it in and feed it. Yeah.
I haven't been there to experience that yet. We were actually thinking about going to visit some of our partners there. But sometimes we do get more information. Sometimes it's an owner surrender, or the shelter was able to get some information about where it was found and what they thought the mother and the father might be in the case of puppies. A lot of times we don't really know too much about them. We make educated guesses as to breed, things like that.
Google helps in AI.
AI. So what do you do with AI? Just drop their picture in or something?
Yeah, and it can sort of tell us what it thinks.
Out.
It's cool.
I wonder how accurate is that?
Probably not that accurate.
People always ask
a good guess.
about the DNA testing too. I think it's getting better. More dogs get into these systems.
We just had
Sometimes.
somebody DNA test, and it came back, I think, 18 breeds in this dog, and we're just like, oh my God.
Like the ultimate mutt.
That's exactly what it said, the ultimate mutt.
We move out here, I was begging for a dog. Then, like everyone else in COVID, we were home, and my husband ended up not being in the city every single day anymore, so someone could be there. And that's when we got our Australian Shepherd. But I knew I had to wait. Like I couldn't get one until the time was right, because I just felt like it was so unfair to them. And I was working so much when I lived in the city. It was crazy.
So that's kind of one of the things that when people fill out the applications too, it's, you know, it's a case by case basis, but we do have some general things, you know, going to be renovating your house like in the next couple of months, or have a big trip planned in the next month or two. Those are kind of things where we might say maybe wait and come back, because those are all disruptive to any new dog that might come in. That's kind of some of the stuff lifestyle wise.
Working wise, we need to make sure that you're available to help take care of the dog.
Yeah, well, especially if you get a puppy, right?
Yes.
Are I'm guessing the questions are a little bit different for when you get a puppy versus when you get an older dog.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Puppies, we don't like them left more than maybe 3 hours at the most without any interaction.
So there's a huge misconception about foster dogs, about being damaged or things like that. So how do you reach people so that they understand that so many of these dogs are sweet and loving?
Well, I think as a rescue, we don't take on really severe cases in terms of dogs that have a fighting history or abuse history or aggression. But we just, every dog is different. The thing that amazes me all the time is we can go on a Friday night, pick them up off the transport, and they most of the time are so loving and calm, and it's almost like they know they're in a safe place now. We also have cases where they're very nervous. So this past weekend we had 2 wonderful dogs come up, and my mom helps us out a lot. They were super nervous, probably 2 of the most nervous ones we've had come off transport. We had to carry, his name is Chip, out of the car, carry him in the house, not really used to leashes, things like that. And he pretty much stayed in found himself a corner in my mom's house and stayed there for pretty much the first night. So you have to know there's a 3-3-3 rule, 3 days for them to decompress. 3 weeks, they might start coming out of their shell a little bit, and it can take them 3 months to really
reclaim their personality.
Some dogs right away, it's their home. We gave his foster that we had arranged to come get him. He's doing amazing now in just 2 days.
It's been amazing to watch that transformation. When it comes to trying to change the stigma around what a rescue dog means, just having people come and meet the dogs is really important, and sharing stories. We work with amazing our vet partners. We spoke veterinarian.
I know Jess. Yeah. She's a friend.
They're amazing.
She's amazing.
And every time we go there, they're like, you guys bring up the best dogs. These are the best dogs. They all have amazing personalities. They're so good with their fosters. They're good with their kids. I think with us, what's different is that we do make sure that we get a bit of a read on their personality before they come up. Because we really want to make sure that they are good with kids and dogs and cats and, people. And so we also are very specific about who we match them with. So when you fill out an application for one dog, we might not think that you're the right match for that dog, but there's another dog that would be perfect for you. We do a bit of that matchmaking, and that I think is a little bit different than some other rescues. So that's really important to us, that the personalities match and align. We want everybody to feel comfortable in their homes, and we want everybody to find their forever puppies and babies and the dogs to find their forever family. So that's a really important process too.
Puppies is a little easier because they're kind of a blank slate, and as long as you know what's involved in a puppy and are committed to that, that's kind of an easier match sometimes.
I think once people realize that, like Jen said, when they come off of transport, they know that they're here, they're safe, and it's an incredible thing to see when you match a dog, let's say an older dog, with a family. Like even Chip's a great example. It's one of the most beautiful things. I messaged with his foster to adopt today, and she said he's doing incredible. He's walking on a leash and he's coming out of his shell and he's interacting with my dog. He's interacting with my kids, and you see those things and it's just like, this is one of the most beautiful transformations to watch. They're gonna be his safety forever, and he will feel that. And they already love him so much, and they're so patient with him, and it really feels like you get back what you give. I really think that rescues know that you have rescued them, and they're with you. Like they are just, they're like ride or die.
What are the most important things that you need right now?
Fosters is number one. We can't survive without fosters. We can't move dogs without fosters. And it is such a cycle. When we are able to move a dog out of a shelter, they go into a foster down south. When we bring them up here, that foster down south is free to take another dog from a shelter. You are actually saving a life by fostering. You are also providing a dog who may need some time to decompress, or who just wants to experience living in a house with kids and a family. You're giving them that opportunity, and it's really fun for families. Like recently we've had a couple of new foster families step up that have little kids that are dipping their toes into the idea of getting a dog. Usually we ask for a 2-week commitment for fostering, so it's not a long time. These families only fostered for 3 or 4 days. They got adopted very quickly. But they were like, this is a perfect opportunity. The kids got to be exposed to dogs. They now know that it's some work. All fun, but they also loved cuddling with the puppies and had so much fun. Now they feel comfortable to maybe move forward and do the next step, which would be a foster to adopt when they're ready.
People always say, they'll come up to our table, they'll come to an event and be like, I could never do it. I could never give them back. And we always say, we all had that feeling initially, but if you keep doing it, it gets a little bit easier each time to know that they're going to, we take a lot of pride in where we send these dogs, and we're never gonna put them in a situation we didn't think was the best for them. And people, we have some fosters who are just repeat fosters. They usually have their own dogs too.
It's nice for the foster families to get to meet the adoptive families. They will come and pick up the dog from their house. And so like Jen was saying, they get to see, oh wow, this is amazing. They're going to an incredible family, and I know they're going to be so loved, and that family's so excited to come and pick up the dog. So that's really cool too. It's also a great opportunity for kids to give back and to say, I'm volunteering and I'm helping something. I'm saving a life. I'm putting that back out into the community. And I think that that's really cool for kids to learn.
And we, provide everything that you need. We have an inventory of crates we can lend out to you. Food is all covered. We really just ask that you be available if we are having an event or something, to bring the dog there. And to vet appointment, if they, so what we didn't mention is that once they get here, we also have to have them examined by a Connecticut vet. So we bring them to Jess and Allison, and that gets recorded with the state as well.
Because you have to do everything through the state too, right?
The Department of Agriculture.
Well, I kind of love it. You get to be like the best auntie. You get the dog for a certain amount of time. You get to be the best auntie in the world. And then they go to their forever home. Unless you successfully keep them.
True.
And they match so perfectly that you just become a mom and not just an auntie.
Fun. Fosters like to post about the fact that they're fostering, and they take them out to kids' sporting events or to school events and show them off. And that's really cool too. That helps grow our network as well. And word of mouth is so fun. A lot of dogs get adopted that way.
We have some great fosters who are great writers and photographers, so it helps us.
Social media influencers.
Exactly.
You need that, because that's the only advertising we have now. What events do you do? What are those like? Do you just pop up into farmers market or something like that?
Exactly. So kind of, when we have a bunch, usually it's easier. Puppies are a great opportunity to do pop-up events where we can keep them all together and people come
and
visit.
Eat and play with them.
Earth Animal Farmers Market we've done sometimes.
We've done the Westport Farmers Market. Then there's the Westport Dog Festival, which is a big one, which we love. That's so successful.
Yeah.
Those events are great. We just did the coolest event ever, which we're going to go back and do in May. We were so thrilled to be invited to. It's in Rhode Island, and it's called the Super Adoption Event. Okay. It's one of the coolest experiences. They have over 600 people that come, and there's maybe 5 or 6 rescues. Rhode Island has a few really large rescues. They put on this event, and you buy tickets ahead of time. The first 200 people are golden ticket holders, and they get to come in and get the first view of the dog, so they get first pick. There was, I think, 1,500 dogs there, and maybe more than half got adopted.
Yeah. And
it was
really
so
well.
cool. It was so cool. There was like everybody coming in looking to adopt a dog. And so those are, awesome events because the success rate is so high. So now we're like going back and I'm like, how many dogs are we going to bring? I'm ready to bring up.
And they invited us, even though we're from Connecticut, they invited us. I think we'll be invited back.
How to do it in Connecticut. Because
you
so
would
cool.
have so many companies wanting to jump on that and be a part of it. My wheels are already turning for you.
Let's do it.
How can we make this happen? I'm really sure there were organizations that would want to do that.
It's really cool.
Get some of the puppy stores. We want to get them a little closed down if we can.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we got that one shut down.
It's opened again.
Shut the front door.
Yes. It's open further down. I went in because I was told that it was open, and I did a little investigating, and I called the Department of Agriculture. I called the state. I called like 5 people because, well, so many reasons. It's so unethical. There's also 2 husky puppies and 2 golden retriever puppies that were 5 months old, and maybe a 4x4 tiny little kennel pacing back and forth. They're selling them for $5,000, I think. 4,000 or 5,000.
And, what?
It's so awful. It makes me crazy. I was like in tears leaving, talking to the girls saying, what do we do here? It's basically a pet store. You walk in and there's every pet supply, and then a wall of glass crates.
Will the state go after them?
Not in Connecticut. It's not fully illegal yet.
They just shut down the sale of live animals, small breed, medium breed dogs and cats in New York and Jersey. Yeah. So those pet stores were shut down.
That took 20 years because I remember seeing them every time I'd walk through the West Village.
In the West Village, and they were all in the window and like all the shredded newspaper and all those.
So is there a way for us to, start pushing legislation in Connecticut?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how the first one was shut down. Disgusting conditions, and that the dogs weren't taken care of when I called the Department of Agriculture. I don't know how it works in terms of licensing and how they get around it. Yes, things need to be changed. The sale of dogs at pet stores is disgusting. It's one of the most horrific things to witness because these dogs grow up there. They're not socialized. They're not taken care of. I don't know the medical care that they're receiving. It's a nightmare. And it's just so inhumane. These dogs are so beautiful and they're kept in tiny enclosures, similar to puppy mills. There's another awesome rescue that I chat with from time to time. They are in Connecticut as well, and she's gung-ho with me to shut these places down. I asked the guy there where he gets his dog. He knew that I ran a rescue. I said, I do not agree with anything that's happening here. I run a rescue. This is unacceptable. He told me that he doesn't deal with the purchase of the dogs, but his friend meets somebody in Pennsylvania. And that's how we get the dog. And I said, what about the golden retriever who's 6 months old in this tiny enclosure and he doesn't sell? Somebody's going to come in and buy a $6,000 or $5,500 golden retriever that's 6 months old. He said, well, we'll talk to the people that we got them from and eventually maybe lower the price a little bit or send him back. What do you think happens when he gets sent back?
They're just going to kill him.
It's unbelievable.
They'll often have supposed registration numbers that are linked to breeders.
AKC registered.
There's ways to look online and you'll find just some random location like Ohio or Pennsylvania that are most likely puppy mills.
And who knows if it's a full-blooded retriever.
You're right.
You can see issues in the dogs too. Yeah, it's sad.
All right, well, start it. Yeah. You tell me when and where and when I need to sign.
Stay tuned.
Where do you see Fetch in the next 5 years?
Well, our dream is to at some point have a facility. We need a lot of donations
Mm-hmm.
to get there. We would love to get some grants. That's a big one. If there's any grant writers that you know, let us know.
I think that there are some who are listening to the podcast.
Call us. The facility is really the dream, the ultimate, somewhere that we can have the dogs come up, then we can bring up more, we can move more, people can come in and meet them. There's a few rescues that have facilities and it just makes things a lot easier. It changes the game a little bit.
Sometimes if someone gets sick the night of transport or can't pick up the dog or we need to switch fosters quick and we don't have someone, if we had an actual location where they could safely stay, it would definitely give us more.
It doesn't have to be big
flexibility.
either. I think for us it would be small, maybe house 10 to 20 dogs max, but just somewhere that gives us an out in the sense that I don't have to rely on fosters so that we could bring more dogs up and move more dogs. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's make that happen too.
We're manifesting that one.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
You guys are amazing and doing the coolest thing.
It's the best.
It is. It's the feelings you get when, especially some of the tougher dogs.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come and they go quick. We don't really get to know them that much, but others stay with
get
us a
attached.
while before they move on.
We have some amazing dogs now too. We have a big pitty who I call Mama Hope. She came from the south. She was in a high kill shelter. She had 3 babies. Her babies got adopted. She's here now and she is just like the biggest love. She is, pit bulls get such a bad rap, and she is just everything. She is so sweet. She just wants to cuddle with you all day. She's so gentle. She's so loving. She's amazing. She's house trained. She sleeps through the night. She's crate trained. She's like the perfect dog.
She's great. My mom, who's 78, and I never would have thought, to give her like a 60-something pound.
Yeah,
our
65
Hope
pounds,
needs to drop a few pounds. Like
She had put on winter weight.
So gentle and she's so gentle. And my mom had that sort of, I don't know, she's too strong for me. She misses her still.
Yeah. She's the best companion dog.
Yeah.
She's amazing. And these 2 other dogs that we just brought up, Chip and Dale, the strippers. Our partner down south is hilarious. He named some of the dogs Chip and Dale because they came in, they were found as strays and they had mange, so they had no hair on their body. He called them the ugly puppies and then upgraded them to Chip and Dale because they were basically naked. So one of them's in a foster to adopt, the other one's available. But there's a lot of cool
good
dogs, a lot of puppies.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Like we'll have puppies in 8 weeks.
We
or
did.
so.
We pulled our first pregnant dog from a shelter. She was going to be euthanized
with puppies in her.
Oh, they're the first pregnant dogs, puppies, and seniors are the first to be euthanized. And black dogs.
Yeah, we didn't talk
I
about
know
that.
why. Black dogs are the ones that are euthanized.
And she was black and pregnant.
Yeah, black.
So
it's called Black Dog Syndrome. Little Black Dog Rescue that Amy Scarella founded, that we both worked for. Our focus was primarily black dogs. We took others. There's still superstition. Black cats,
real.
black dogs.
They bring about evil.
Fear, aggression, that type of... And we don't think of it up here in the Northeast. So
We both have black dogs.
Yeah, but
black tri.
it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a real
definitely
thing.
a thing.
They're also the first to go in the shelters. We pulled this mama, and there's an incredible foster we're working with in the South. She's in Louisiana. The mom gave birth to 8 puppies 2 weeks ago, and she has them in her house, and she sends us pictures every day. And when we first pulled her, we didn't know how many puppies. I was thinking, okay, like 3 or 4 puppies, probably. She was huge. And so we sent her to the vet right away to make sure she's medical, all of her medical is covered. And they did an ultrasound, and the vet calls me and says, so there's 8 puppies. I'm like, oh my God, 8 puppies. I'm just like, oh, it's so expensive. There's a lot of vetting that has to be done before they can travel.
Yeah.
A lot of vaccinations, deworming, everything. So those are big expenses, but it's so cool to have this experience. And she's like a doll.
Texting us when each one was born.
First baby's out, and I'm like, oh my God. I feel like I was having a baby. I'm like texting my husband, like, we got a baby. He's like, oh my God, you're crazy.
So how are you funded?
We're donation
All
based.
donations.
And our adoption fee.
fee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have an adoption fee. And
But the adoption fee is minimal. How much is the adoption fee?
It's currently $700.
And that covers transport costs, which are very expensive. All of the medical and vetting that's done down south and up here. And also all of the supplies. Food, crates, toys, leashes, and collars. With our adoption fee, we barely put any money into the bank after that.
The donations help us keep at least some kind of cushion for situations that do arise. You know.
We're a 501c3, so we're a registered nonprofit and recognized. So, donations are, tax benefits and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, the 700 doesn't make sense. I walk into the vet, and every time I leave that place, it's at least $400 or $500.
Oh, that's
so.
It's very expensive. We need donations.
We're going to link everything down below. So if anyone wants to make donations or partner or help create the first Connecticut's day of adoption, super adoption.
Yes.
That's going to happen.
Such a great thing. Yeah.
So cool.
I want to be a part of that. Just tell me what to do. Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you for being here. This is like the most fun. I want more people to know.
Next time we'll bring puppies.
Next time we should just have puppies all over us.
Right?
Thank you so much for joining me today on She's Smart. New episodes drop every Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Stay cozy.